Hello traders, today is going to be an order flow video. I've had a lot of traders who have taken my course, traders who are just curious about order flow, ask me to focus on more medium to longer term order flow. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, is looking at how can we predict price using order flow by looking at a little bit more zoomed out. And I'm going to be so zoomed out that we're looking at the order flow over an entire week and watching what has transpired over Bitcoin and using it to predict what will happen next. Additionally, I'm going to be doing something I've never done before. I'm offering you a 20% bundle if you get 2 of my courses or more. I didn't want to do this in the past because I thought it would kind of cheapen my content. But I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, Bennett, I want to buy 2 or more of your items, courses and books. And can you discount? And now there will be a coupon in the description below. All you gotta do is just go to my shop, pick at least 2 items, and then you can apply the coupon. The coupon applies to the total cart. It doesn't just apply to one item. So the 20% off you get is from everything you buy, combined. So if you're curious about anything, this is definitely the way to go for sure. Okay. So if you want to get here to this exact link, you can click the description. You can click the link in the description below for the web version of Bookmap. But without further ado, let me explain a little bit of what you're looking at, and then we're going to be doing some strategy. So with this, the red bubbles that you see here and the green bubbles represent market orders. And the larger that the bubble is, the larger the amount of market orders in that direction there were. So very green, large green means a lot of buying of Bitcoin. Very red means a lot of selling of Bitcoin. Additionally, what you can also see is these orange and red lines. These are limit orders in the limit order activity. When it's being placed, reduced, added, And the more red it is, that means the more limit orders there are. The more yellow or blue it is, the less limit orders that there are. Additionally, whenever you see limit order activity below price, I'm going to make it a little bit cleaner. Whenever you see limit order activity below price, that is bids. Above will be called offers. Limit sells, limit buys. Okay? So let me first talk about the 2 tenets of studying order flow, whether or not you're on a 1-hour time frame or a 1-week time frame. And that's at looking at the strength of the buyers and sellers, strength of the market buyers and market sellers, and then you look at the strength of the limit orders, really segregating those 2 different parts of buying and selling. So what can we see about, buying and selling patterns here? Well, it looks like over here, the buyers were more in control. We can see more green than red. And a really strong sign of bullishness is when you see a large sell-off and then it's immediately countered by an even larger amount of buying. That's really strong. And this kind of pattern right here is just amazing. This is a really good time to buy. Why? Well, we saw a lot of buying. We see a lot of strong purchasing, a lot of buying at Bitcoin. And then we can see that the sell had a delta of 8.2K Bitcoin, and the buy had a delta of 10.69K Bitcoin. So the buying was larger than the selling at this dip. That's a really good sign, and price went, much higher. Now let's talk about a little bit more complex of a topic, of course, than just straight up market orders, the limit orders. And let's focus on those. So there's a lot of strategy when it comes to treating these, a lot of different things that they can do. But what we're going to be focusing on today is just a very simple concept from my course, which is static versus spoof, or static order versus fleeting order. A static order is an order that has been placed and has remained for a very long period of time. These are very strong. A spoof order, or just a short-term order, is an order that was placed and then quickly removed after the spoofer had achieved what they wanted to achieve. A really good example of that is right here. So what do we see? Well, what I can see right here, if I can point to a line to it. Come on, Bookmap. It's not really letting me put a line, but where my cursor is right here, you see a large sell placed there, large sell placed here, large sell placed here. What happens the very second that price dumps, guys? All of these sell orders are gone. This right here is a phenomenal order flow sign of a dump. Inverse BART move. When you see, guys, price dump like that, but there are just no people trying to sell limit orders, I mean, this is just incredibly bullish. And because there was this vacancy of sell orders, price just shot right back up, naturally, right? This is a spoof probably, but then price did the exact same thing the other way. Probably market makers trying to get their orders filled naturally. What do we see? Well, we can see a large bid placed here. It was, I believe it was filled, but this order was placed way far away from price, and then price continued to rise. And also the very second that this order was placed, price just continued to rise until it was filled. So all of this was overall pretty bullish. But what I really want you to focus on are these short-term fleeting orders that look like spoofs. Because when you see a setup that's basically large sell well placed, price dumps, all of the sell orders are pulled, that's a really, really strong sign that price is going to rise. Now let's talk about traditional BART moves and what those typically look like. You guys know BART moves, I would assume. That's when price skyrockets and then just comes right back down. A really good example of that is right here. And this example is even better than the previous example. Price begins rising right here, and it rises until we begin to consolidate right there, right? It's consolidating, but then we get all of these large sell orders being placed. When you see a bunch of sell orders being placed right here, and they're just not moving, they're just not changing, at this point in time, they were not. They were placed at about, 22 o'clock, and then they got pulled at about 10 a.m. So these orders were up there for a long time. This is a lot of selling pressure, and there's just no buying. I mean, if you look right here, there aren't many bids. And now if we look at the market orders, I mean, there was more market buying than market selling. But the issue was, I mean, how can you support a market when there are no bids underneath, right? Because there was just so little bidding, price just cut through it like butter. It just really wasn't that hard. So this is a sign of a BART pattern. Price goes up, a lot of sellers pop up, price goes flat, price dumps because there's no bids. Easy as that, okay? Now let's go even more far back at another week of trading in the 21,000s. My computer sounds like it's about to blast off to Mars with Elon Musk's spaceship. Lovely. Okay. So this is another example. Oh, this is a really good order flow example right here. Right there. That's really, really, really good. So let me show you guys where that is. Those are basically scared bids. So what's happening there are bid shadows. That's what some people call them. But also bid cluster shift down. Yeah, this is what I want to show. So in my course, what we can see, yep. Yeah, so when you see a lot of demand shifting lower, i.e., a lot of bids being placed lower and lower, it's just a sign that no one wants to buy. And that's exactly what was happening here as price was dumping. So what was happening is price was flat here, right? I want you to focus right there. Now let's go look at the buying and selling. A lot more selling, but let's go look at the limit order activity. Then as price was beginning to fall right here, this is super important, as price was beginning to fall and then eventually rise, all of these bids were just not anywhere near price. They didn't really look like they wanted to transact. Now, when you see bids that are just fleeting like this, just don't want to be filled, that's a sign the market's going to probably dump, okay? When you see an offer like this that is strong no matter what, as close as price gets, it does not even move, that's a sign of a very strong seller. And consequently, from reading this, the sellers were much stronger than the buyers and price dumped. Now, as you can see here, I believe we had already talked about this, but then we got that short-term offers right there and price propelled lower. But this was a really good sign of just not a lot of demand. These bids just being pushed lower and lower and not wanting to really get filled. Okay? So, yeah, this is the weekly chart. Now let's go to a random point in time so that maybe we can do some predicting, because I will have no idea what happened on July 30 of whatever, the end of July. All right, so we see prices here. And to me, this looks a little bit more bullish. Yeah, this looks a little bit more bullish, but not crazy bullish. I believe it's a little bit more bullish because we have all of these bids being added and price is really respecting them. If I see price going lower and these bids stay, that's probably a sign that price is just going to go a little bit higher. price just does nothing. It just goes flat. All right, so price goes a little bit lower, as I'd said. You know, if that happens, do the bids stay? The bids do stay. This is super bullish. And I would think that there should be at least some kind of pump. And I don't know what happened to Bookmap here, but I was right. There was a pump, and then it dumped. But how much of a cutoff of information is... Oh, not that much. But yeah, let's go talk about what's going on here. So price did, in fact, end up... Oh, you can see it in the white right here, guys. So this, to me, was very bullish. And what price actually ended up doing is it went from about 23.7K up to a high of about almost 24.2K. And price did pump as I had predicted. And then did it completely dump? Yeah, it did. This makes sense. So I was actually able to predict this one. And the reason being is these bids looked very strong. I mean, it just looked like the buyers were serious. They weren't trying to shift lower. They weren't canceling, and they weren't spoofing. This was just genuine demand, and price rose on that genuine demand, of course, right? All right, now let's look at early August and do another price prediction. Okay. So yeah, another example. Price goes down, but just a lot of genuine demand here. Not a lot of selling compared to buying, and yeah, price just rises. But you guys know what I've been talking about. What just happened right here? This is a really good example. What is going on right there? I'm probably going to end the video on this example because it's that good. Guys, there's like no bids. What happened to all of this buying, everyone wanted to buy, all this genuine demand, then they all bought. And then what happened after they all bought? No one was placing limit orders to buy. No one. This is just not a good sign. When you see price go up, all of the bids get canceled, then price goes flat, and then a lot of offers are there. I mean, the odds of price falling are really, really high, and that's exactly what happened here. So that's a really good example of the same kind of concept of a BART versus like an inverse BART kind of move. All right, let's see if there's anything more of notice or if we just want to end on that. Nothing really too special here. So I'm just going to end with some housekeeping. Okay, so what you're looking at here actually is not the multi-book that's been pretty popular, but just Bitcoin on Binance Futures, which is the largest Bitcoin market on the planet right now. It's the futures market of Bitcoin. Now let's look actually at the current. To me, this looks a little bit more bullish because of the demand injection right here. You know, we have a lot of bids added. To me, I feel like Bitcoin's probably going to rise soon, but we'll see. What does the 1 hour say? Yeah, the 1 hour looks pretty bullish too. Okay, so for those who want to get this again, I'm going to link the link for this in the description below. If you want to learn more about order flow, because I barely even scratched the surface, I just focused on is there more market buying or more market selling? And then I put a much heavier emphasis on are there genuine static orders or are there spoof orders that are fleeting in short term? Because those will have very different effects. Of course, a short-term order can push price down. You know, if you see just a bunch of limit sell spoof orders pop up and then price falls, but a lot of times what happens is if that order gets canceled and then there's just no offers, price just rises back up. Okay? But the difference on a genuine seller is this. Imagine a bunch of orders pop up and price falls, but then that sell order just stays there. That's a pretty bad sign. That's a sign that someone really wants to sell and they still really want to sell. So that's a big difference between genuine supply and demand and, you know, spoofed supply and demand. So with that, if you want to get any two of my items, it is 20% off when you bundle them. Just go in the description below to get to my shop and use the coupon below and you'll be all good. Happy trading, guys.